which is...
Your Worship, if I may just answer the question from the agenda item 3 before you go into that one, is that all right? From the TMP, is that all right to do that now?
Yes, sure.
Yep. So I've just raced down and grabbed the Treasury policy. Page 22 of the Treasury policy allows for New Zealand registered banks maximum limit up to 100%. Hence the comment we won't be breaching. So it's shifted upwards from 80% to 100 in the new policy. So that's...
Oh no, it's just it was difficult to...
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, Errol, long-term plan. We've got another copy, have we?
So this is your last one for me for a little while. Christmas cards now.
So do we put this on one side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jeez.
No.
That's right.
Supersedes the other one.
Jesus, very bloody paper.
Comprehensive.
That goes out of there. Yeah. This is where we own some forestry, yeah. All right. Thank you, Ariel. Thank you for the latest copy that we've been waiting.
All right. There's a reason I've given you the latest copy, but I'll get to that in a minute. The first thing I wanted to say was well done and congratulations for getting to where we are today. And the second thing I wanted to say was that we've received our draft audit opinion and that the final will be released to us following your adoption. So that's just a process that audit has in place. They release the draft and then they release the final signed version once you have actually adopted the long-term plan. But as you can see, if you like, the long-term plan has passed the auditor's required tests and we're able to adopt the final long-term plan. The reason I've tabled that new version of the long-term plan today is there are some changes that I wanted to bring your attention to that came as a result of the audit. They're all very minor, which you'll see when we go through them. The first one, I've actually given away I think I gave it to you, Roseanne, the one that I've put. So on page 47, you'll see there's some track changes. So audit just asked that I add the percentages for those 3 performance measures there from the 2013-14 years. So I've the 2014-15 responses as well. So there's the 21%, the 80% and the 75% shown there in brackets that I've added. On page 65, you're aware that we've got new measures that were introduced by the Department of Internal Affairs called the non-financial performance measures. One of the struggles that we had with one of them is that for stormwater we don't actually have properties that connect to a stormwater system, which is unusual across the country, and we had to just provide a little bit of a further explanation there as to why we weren't going to measure against the mandatory measure. So that will be something that when the measures are reported, I guess, across New Zealand, you'll see a gap there for Taupo because we can't measure that one because we don't do that. So auditor happy with that and with the explanation that we have there. The other addition is on page 88. Audit just wanted us to make a note that on all of the financial tables that the shaded column was the 2014 annual plan comparator, so that people would understand that it was the 2014-15 annual plan. And the other change was a change to the format of the Statement of Comprehensive Revenue and Expense Statement, and I'll let Neil cover up any questions if you've got anything about that. That also meant that we needed to just update the schedule to the FIS and the prospective statement of cash flow as well. So we've replaced those two financial tables as well. The other thing that we did was we made some very minor changes to grammar and names throughout the document. So for example, there were still a few drafts hanging around, and there was also some 10-year plans in the infrastructure strategy, so we've been amended to long-term plan. We've changed Taupo without a macron to Taupo with a macron, and we've also put the correct name in for the drinking water standards of New Zealand. There's also some minor changes that we've made to the fluoride story box, but the message is still the same in terms of what your decision was. So rather than give you multiple pages with a track change showing Taupo with a macron, I just decided to give you a whole new version.
Chairman, at this stage, could I just ask, what are those words? Can you give me the page where the fluoride one's mentioned again?
Sure. It's just in the water section, and that is on page 32. I'm not sure if anybody has any other questions or particular remarks that they'd like to make either in regards to the long-term plan or the responses that are proposed to the submitters. There's just one minor addition that I wanted to make for the responses to the museum submissions, and it was just around adding some words about the timing of further development of the museum would be considered as part of the LTP 2018, or if some other opportunity presents itself prior to this.
Cool. Thanks, Ariel. Okay, the moment has come. Any other questions or queries of Ariel? Councillor Krastowski.
Is this the time or the opportunity to ask questions as regards to some of the responses?
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's all part of the resolution. Is that? Do you want us to adopt it first and then do the responses second, or what's the best way? Ariel, were you happy to handle the responses now?
Oh yes.
Yep.
Certainly.
Cool. Okay.
Councillor, do you want to get a cup of tea? Go for it. Okay. I wonder, just to start with, overall, I'd like to thank Ariel for the responses. I think overall they're quite good, but I do wonder whether, as out of courtesy and if we're wishing to encourage future submitters, that all the submitters should be thanked for their submissions and not just some of them, as we have in this document.
As I've mentioned previously, when we prepare the letters to the submitters, the first thing we do is thank them right from the very start for all of.
So what we see in here is not the actual final.
So what happens is that we look at each submission point, and we've had those discussions with you through deliberations, and then we prepare these draft responses based on that discussion. What will then happen is we will go through and collate all of these together for each submitter. So for example, submitter 27 may have submitted on 3 different points, and we'll put those together in a letter so that they get a response to each part of their submission in one way. And there's always an introduction to the letter, and always if you like, a concluding paragraph for each of those. Some of the changes that may happen when we put those letters together is when you're reading through the letter, if it doesn't sound quite right, we'll just tweak some of the words to make it sure it's polite and appropriate.
Okay.
So this is a summary.
It's summarised per, if you like, group of activities, rather than giving you the letters, which you'll get a copy of when they're completed.
Okay. On page 18, under 231, when we talk about greening Taupo, would it be appropriate to include the fact that we have indeed now, or we're going to have a council appointed to the greening Taupo or the steering committee?
I'm happy to include that.
At some point you need to decide who that's going to be. It'd be nice to include that in the letter.
That councillor has been appointed, or will be appointed.
Okay. Someone else want to have a quick go?
Well, just a comment, Your Worship, the Mayor. On page 2, the email that was sent out, that's going to be a press release, I think, highlighting the Standard & Poor's new rating. And I just feel that we undersell ourselves a little bit in the message from you and the councillors. And I just wondered, whilst I know it's a little bit late in the session, but somewhere in there, should we not be highlighting that?
Certainly sort of came out sort of around the, we hadn't had it confirmed, did we, when we did the sort of final? I suppose we had, but good point.
We've certainly had it confirmed now, and we adopted
What's the implication?
And the new rating is on our long-term projection of our financial situation. So I just make a comment.
Is it possible to put that in there at this late stage?
No.
I can definitely make a change to this page. Any further changes? No.
You make a change to the message.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we might as well. How do the other councillors feel? I think you can put it in.
Absolutely.
Yep. Can be the first paragraph if you like.
Well, I mean, you've got a section on the finances.
Okay, so you happy to leave that to myself and Ariel and perhaps Lisa to craft that up? Yep. Cool. Okay, now Councillor Truman, I think you had a query?
Yeah, just a couple of really minor things. Just on page 161 of the new one.
Sorry, Kirsty, can you mind?
What page 161 of the new document.
161.
So the second lot of bullet points under investigation for upgrading compliance. Whakamaru is probably supposed to be its own bullet point. And
You're probably right.
And where it says Turahonga and Serenity Cove, it's no longer called Serenity Cove, so I'm just thinking new people coming into the area won't know what that is. It's called Waipamu Farms. And right at the last sentence, it says to ensure S compliance. Is that right?
Sorry, I've lost where you
Right
are.
on the last sentence, it says to ensure S compliance. That one should be called
All right, who was next? Councillor Bernard, have you come back?
If I may. Under page 41, the top one, and where we say funding for the reseal of the velodrome has been included in the Parks and Reserves Asset Management Plan. Would it be pertinent to put down what year that would be?
17.
Just a suggestion. On page 42, submission 169, the middle second of last line, do we contribute to or of or? On page 53, under submission 205, I was present with Nick Carroll at the Waikato Regional Council long-term plan submission, and it was my understanding that there was already a plan in place, and that we were waiting on Regional Council to implement that. But the way it's reading here is that they're waiting on us to come up with a plan or a program.
Sorry, what page were you on again?
Page 53. And Councillor Williamson might actually be able to assist me on that, because I think you were on the committee that heard the program, the plan program.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah.
No, it's the onus is on this council to deliver the program.
So what was the program that had been presented way back in 2009?
That was a program of works, but without what WRC are after is detail. So we provided a list of risk assessed areas. They've always been after detail, which we begin to work on now. So that's a fully costed program, which we weren't able to provide at the time because we didn't have the technical data to do that.
Okay. Thank you. That clarifies that. Page 60, under submission 162, under our response, the last sentence, I think there's some sort of somehow the sentence needs to be transposed somehow.
I'll have a look at that one and see what we can do.
I think just the word provide needs to move up somehow. Page 69, on the top response, where we go on about council will develop a guiding philosophy for this community fund over the next 3 years. As I recall, Councillor Jolland made a recommendation which was passed by council that we will look at this coming year, not within the next 3 years.
Chairman, the councillor is correct. But however, I believe that decision was made after probably these submission replies were put together. Because when I've read through them, there are things that have taken place after the replies. And I think that's the one with the case you're talking about at the moment, Councillor.
I can make the change to the 12 within the 12 months. My recollection of that was that the resolution is still includes that reading where we had the discussion.
Put it in the minutes.
That's right.
Get to the 12 months, which I think we should communicate to the submitters, because it was a issue that was raised by several submitters too. We're picking up, Councillor.
And just for my clarification, on page 82, when we now talk about the Oxfam Music Festival, is that part of the Oxfam Trail thing that is now no longer with us? In which case we probably shouldn't mention that particular one in this response. And I think that applies to a number of responses.
I'll clarify that one for you.
So if we
And that'll do. Thank you. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Councillor Krastowski. Okay, any other queries, questions? Councillor Williamson?
Sorry, it's not really a question. Just Kirsty, on page 161, drew my attention. I think it's just a spelling mistake with Rakanui Road. And it's got another U in it, I think.
61.
Is that how you spell it? Or? Centennial Drive.
I think it's got another year in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I reckon there it is there.
It's not
The
right.
one in brackets,
Looks right, isn't
It looks like to me.
it? Rakanui.
That's right. I think that's right.
I'll check the spelling.
We'll check that one out, Councillor Williamson. Yeah.
Just Google it.
I'll get back to
Show
you.
you.
Oh, you Googled it. Good boy. Right, Councillor Krotowski.
I have one last one,
finished.
if I may. It would give me great pleasure to actually move and recommend that we pass the suggested resolutions.
Thank you very much, Councillor Krotowski.
Just through the chair, I just have a couple of queries myself, if I may, first. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Ariel, the intention is that these letters to the submitters, who will they come from? Are they coming from us as councillors or from the council staff? What was your intention there?
Well, I have that as a question to ask yourselves. It's up to you who you'd like them to come from. So you need to choose.
I believe it should come from us. Over to my fellow councillors.
What's normally happened?
There's been a variety of options that have been used. So sometimes they've come from me, other times they've come from yourself. So it's up
Jim,
to
I agree
you.
with Councillor Jolins. These submissions were made to us. They've been actioned by staff. They should be coming back from us.
I mean, at the end of the day, the point we've got to in time is a combination of all the staff here and ourselves that have put this work together. But I think the message is back to the community, because the submitter submitted to us. We need to own this. We need to put our names on it, and I think it should come from the councillors.
Yep. Would you be happy for me to sign it on behalf of the councillors, or?
I think Councillor Johns has a fair point. I would support that, yes.
And what, all of us sign, or David?
Just David.
But I think the tone and the direction be that it's from us as the council, acknowledging the work of everyone in this process, of course, but yeah.
For sure.
And I just had a couple of other points just for clarification. The Audit New Zealand report notes that we completed the audit on the 23rd of June. Is that just a procedural matter to coincide with the fact that we're going to adopt it at this point?
That's right.
All right, and the last point I just had to make was one of the recommended resolutions is that we adopt the long-term plan. From my point of view as a councillor, I've noted my dissent, I guess, against the revenue and financing policy, and I want to capture that, but I also recognise the need to approve and pass the LTP as part of a very important procedural matter. What's the best way to address issues such as that, please?
Your dissent to the revenue and financing policy was captured when we obviously passed that resolution. I'm not sure how else you would deal with it other than...
Yeah, I mean, the only other way to deal with it, and I'm not sure whether we wish to or not, is to go through it section by section, but how you...
No, you have to adopt the long-term plan in its entirety. I guess the revenue and financing policy, through a quirk in the latest changes to the Local Government Act, in the past it's just formed part of the long-term plan, and now you have to consult on it separately, which is what we did, and then adopt it separately and then include it in your long-term plan. So I guess the fact that you've conveyed your dissent to that policy individually allows you to possibly then adopt the long-term plan, recognising that.
Recognising that, okay. Thank you.
Your Worship, could I just have that clarified? At this time, 3 years ago, whenever it was, when the last long-term plan was in this chamber, there was a division between two parts. I think all the councillors were in favour of the long-term plan, but there was one part a number objected to. Because it wasn't able to be taken in parts, they voted no, and therefore they were voting against things that they actually agreed with in that long-term plan. They voted against a particular policy that the council was wanting to be introduced, and that's the dilemma that I have. Whether I made my dissent known at the time of the debate, I think I have my right to work section by section, because there's a lot in this long-term plan I support, and there are some things that I don't. If I can't, then I'd have to vote no to its entirety. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any other councillors So just to confirm, we need to, you would need to adopt the plan. Yeah, you can't.
Yes, you do.
Parts of it, not parts of it.
No.
And I think, the councillors are thinking of you, if you're wanting to vote, against a plan that retains the current levels of service across the district, reduces our debt, 162 million.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Excuse me, I'm talking.
I gave a point of order.
Excuse me. Reducing the debt from 162 to 103 mil by 2025. And our investment's going up to 143 mil. That's up to the individual councillors to decide on. So it's been, the long-term plan has been moved by Councillor Christowski. Good idea. Seconded by Councillor Hickling. Does anyone else want to make any comments for or against? Okay, with that being the case, Councillor Williamson?
Oh no, I'm just trying to keep this in sort of simple terms. I think we've been through several processes with various aspects of the long-term plan. The democratic process, right through has been a majority. That's the way the whole system works, the majority decision, whether it's right or wrong, and that's just the way the system works. So I'm very happy to support the document. Its authority.
All right, okay, it's been moved and seconded. So 1, 2 and 3 on the suggested resolution there. And just in passing it, thank you so much again to all the staff and all the public submitters out there. Huge submissions we got, and also to the councillors that have committed this last 18 months project. How many workshops, Ariel? 22?
21, 22, yeah.
22 workshops and endless meetings, so well done to everyone. And the audit says it all, they are very happy with it. So I'd like to, it's been moved by Councillor Christowski, seconded by Councillor Hickling. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against?
No.
No.
Okay, so...
have a division, please.
So Councillor Boddy and Councillor Jollins against the long-term plan. Got that recorded, thank you very much. Item number 6.
It was not to be recorded. I asked for a division which the names voted either way to be written down. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
So you don't want your against being recorded?
I want a division where the names of those voted either way are shown in the agenda paper.
Okay, you got that, Chairman? We've got that.